Hey guys, today is Friday, September 12th, 2025. Been a crazy week, been in the news. It's a week of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Crazy, but I think half the country was praying at the same time. And I see a lot of people kind of leaning into the Lord right now with whatever they're doing. So I hope you are too. We've been working in numbers, and we are really getting out of the grind and the laws and the structure of the tabernacle, and we're about to get into some fun miracles. So last time we did chapter 8, we're going to do chapter 9. There's a Passover, and we'll get into it. Short chapter. Anyway, here we go. Numbers chapter 9. The Lord spoke to Moses in the desert of Sinai in the first month of the second year after they came out of Egypt. He said, "Have the Israelites celebrate the Passover at the appointed time. Celebrate it at the day of this month. Celebrate it at the appointed time at twilight on the 14th day of this month in accordance with all its rules and regulations." So Moses told the Israelites to celebrate the Passover, and they did so in the desert of Sinai at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. The Israelites did everything just as the Lord commanded Moses, but some of them could not celebrate. Remember, back up. This is the second year, okay? They're 2 years into this, and they're barely getting started here. They're out in the desert, and they're building the tabernacle, and they're making their laws and their rules and setting up whatever kind of government system that the Lord is telling them to do. So they're 2 years in on a 30-day trip and still kind of figuring it out. But that was God's plan the whole time. So Moses told the Israelites to celebrate the Passover, and they did so in the desert of Sinai. At twilight on the 14th day of the first month, the Israelites did everything just as the Lord commanded Moses. But some of them could not celebrate the Passover on that day because they were ceremonially unclean on account of a dead body. Remember, they had to be clean to be involved in the Lord's rituals and even go into the tabernacle, and they would cut themselves off from the entire encampment when they were unclean. So this was a question. Like, these guys, they didn't want to screw it up. They wanted to do it right, but they said, hey, we don't have that much time to do this, or we're around a body, or they're traveling. So they came to Moses and Aaron that same day and said to Moses, "We have become unclean because of a dead body, but why should we be kept from presenting the Lord's offering with the other Israelites at the appointed time?" Moses answered them, "Wait until I find out what the Lord commands concerning you." I love this because some of these guys are like, we don't want to go against God, and so they try to come to the Lord. They go to Moses, and Moses has, before he makes a decision, an earthly decision, he goes to God first for God's wise counseling. So something we can always apply, right? Always go to God first with it. A lot of times we try to fix it ourselves, and then we really screw it up. Then we go to the Lord. If we always have God on our mind, that's our first reaction, is to pray and go to God. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, when any of you or your descendants are unclean because of a dead body or are away on a journey, they are still to celebrate the Lord's Passover. But they are to do it on the 14th day of the second month at twilight. They are to eat the lamb together with So he gave them an extra month, right? So they can be clean, and they're still going to do the Passover. But he gave them an extra month. But they are to do it on the 14th day of the second month at twilight. They are to eat the lamb together with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They must not leave any of it till morning or break any of its bones. When they celebrate the Passover, they must follow all regulations. But if anyone who is ceremonially clean and not on a journey fails to celebrate the Passover, they must be cut off from their people for not presenting the Lord's offering at the appointed time." God is serious about this, all right, on the Passover. So if you're totally capable of, you're clean and you have everything for an offering, and you just choose not to do it, just ignore God. God said, "I will cut you off from my people," because I don't even want that. It's like a cancer on what God's setting up for them. "A foreigner residing among you is also to celebrate the Lord's Passover in accordance with its rules and regulations." See how God's bringing more of his people and his sheep into his camp. So even if they're not actual Hebrews, God is still bringing them in to go through Passover. You must have the same regulations for both the foreigner and the native born. On the day the tabernacle, the tent of the covenant law was set up. The cloud covered it. So there's a cloud over this whole thing now, right? Over their big tent of meeting and the tabernacle and their camp. And so, and a cloud covered it. From evening till morning, so when it's dark out, the cloud above the tabernacle looked like fire. That is how it continued to be. The cloud covered it, and at night it looked like fire. Whenever the cloud lifted from above the tent, the Israelites set out. Wherever the cloud settled, the Israelites encamped. So God's literally moving them and telling them where to go. If he wants them to stay, the cloud stays. And it's like cloud by day and a cloud of fire by night, right? So that's how they follow God. If you go away from the camp, you're going away from God's will and leaving the people. That's how he gave them direction. At the Lord's command, the Israelites set out, and at his command they encamped, which is where the cloud goes, right? As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they remained in camp. When the cloud remained over the tabernacle a long time, the Israelites obeyed the Lord's order and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud was over the tabernacle only a few days. At the Lord's command, they would encamp, and then at his command, they would set out. Sometimes the cloud stayed only from evening till morning, and when it lifted in the morning, they set out. Whether by day or by night, whenever the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether the cloud stayed over the tabernacle for 2 days or a month or a year, the Israelites would remain in camp and not set out. But when it lifted, they would set out. So, let me finish it here. At the Lord's command, they encamped, and the Lord's command, they set out. They obeyed the Lord's order in accordance with his command through Moses. So, Moses is kind of have the one way, or the communication with God, but at the same time, all the Israelites can see this cloud and pillar of fire, and that's how they know when to move. And sometimes God keeps us in the same place, even though we want to move or we want to change our lives. And really, he just wants us to be still, know I am God, and focus on him. And I think a lot of times God's moving some objects or structures out of the way that would essentially be there to hurt us. So he's carving a path for the Israelites, and he does that same thing in our life. This is the same God. And I know a lot of times I talked about, how Jesus came and a lot of these laws, he overcame them and he became the ultimate sacrifice, so we don't have to do it anymore. But remember, at the end of the day, this is the same God. We're still serving the same God, and it is still the most powerful God. And so as the Israelites are following the cloud, one, they have to learn to lean on the Lord. And they have to learn to stay put when it's time to stay put. And when God says move, it's time to move. And we need to remember, when God says it's time to move, drop a habit, do something you feel called in your heart, we should always be listening for the Lord. And as we listen to the Lord, God will tell us it's time to move and it's time not to. And just know that no matter what happens, we serve an undefeated God. And no matter tragedy, turmoil, or anything, he's always making way for our good. And sometimes we can't see it. Sometimes it feels like we're stuck in a rut. But as long as that cloud's over us, we're stuck there. But when it's time to move, we better be listening. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Next week, we are going to leave Sinai, and the next couple chapters are really fun. A lot of miracles, and we're off to the races. So have a great weekend. I love you, and be safe.